Hello, my loves. It is Miss Simpson, and it is time for science today. I hope everybody enjoyed their 3-day long weekend with having Monday off, and now you're ready to get back to work. So we are going to talk about in science today, and most of this week, we're going to talk about the water cycle. So first, let's start talking about Earth's atmosphere. So Earth's atmosphere is the layers of air that surround the Earth's surface. So we have Earth, right? And then we have layers around the Earth that is the air, and that is what the atmosphere is. So we have in the atmosphere 4 layers: the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. Weather, like raining, snowing, sleeting, all of that, it occurs in the first layer of the atmosphere, which is the troposphere. And whoa, let's go back to that slide. If you look right here, this is the Earth. Then we have the troposphere right here that it's showing us. We have the stratosphere. We have the mesosphere. And on here, the thermosphere is not labeled, but it is right outside of that. So let's talk about the water cycle. The water cycle is the movement of water into the air as water vapor and back to the Earth's surface as precipitation. So precipitation is any form of anything that falls from the sky. So hail, rain, snow, sleet, all of that is precipitation. So when water vapor goes into the air, it comes back down as precipitation. And there's a way that happens in our Earth. The water on Earth is constantly changing from one form to another, and it's a continuous cycle that happens over and over and over again. So first, let's talk about evaporation, and I'm sure that you have heard this word before. This is when water evaporates, so it changes from a liquid to a gas. We talked about our properties of matter, solid, liquid, gas, and it evaporates due to heat from the sun. So have you ever, in your life, have you ever put on a pot of boiling water or seen your parents put on a pot of boiling water? Have you seen the steam that's coming up from that pot of boiling water? That is evaporation right there. That's when the water goes from liquid to a water vapor, and that is evaporation. So then we have condensation. This is when water condenses. So it changes from a gas, which is in the air, to a liquid into water droplets. So we go from water in the air, water vapor, to water droplets. These water droplets form clouds. So in our world, in our Earth, we have those forming clouds. But I want you to think about, pretend it is a nice, visualize this with me. It's a hot summer day, right? You go into the refrigerator and you get a soda or a water bottle or anything that's super cold that you like to drink. And you get it out and you're sitting outside and you're drinking it. You know how the outside gets wet? That's condensation. So in our world, in our atmosphere, that's what happens. The water droplets actually form clouds. Now, this condensation is just an example of what happens that you've seen before. So then we have precipitation. So when those clouds that have all those water droplets in it become too heavy, the water droplets fall to Earth's surface in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail. And then we have accumulation. Precipitation collects in rivers, in streams, oceans, lakes, and they allow it to be evaporated and begin the water cycle again. So again, let's go back. So water evaporates, and then it turns into water droplets in the clouds. And then the cloud gets too heavy, and the rain falls, and it goes into the oceans and the lakes and accumulates. So there's a lot of water on the ground. So here's a bunch of different types of precipitation. If you don't know what precipitation is, here's what it is. So there's rain. Come on, guys. I hope you know what rain is. We get rain all the time. It's when water falls from the sky. Then we have snow. This is when the temperature falls in the cloud, and snow falls when the temperature in the cloud is below freezing, and freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Sleet is rain that freezes as it falls to Earth's surface. So if the cloud is freezing at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll fall as snow. If not, as it's falling and it freezes, that's when we get sleet. And hail forms when drops of rain freeze in the cloud and are carried higher into the cloud, freezing over and over and over again before falling to Earth's surface. And so then we have runoff. That's when precipitation that flows downhill on Earth's surface to rivers, streams, lakes, oceans. That's called runoff. And groundwater is when the precipitation soaks into the ground. So I want to go over this anchor chart with you. So right here you see accumulation. This is like an ocean, a lake, or whatever. This, when the sun gets too hot, think of the most hot day, it's burning up. That evaporates up into the clouds. And then it goes to condensation and it forms water droplets in the cloud. And then it falls as precipitation, rain. And if it falls like on a hill or somewhere steep, we have runoff and it falls right back into that ocean. So it's a big old cycle, and that happens over and over and over again. One of the biggest things that we need to take in consideration when we talk about the water cycle is the sun. We call him Mr. Energy because guess what? Without the sun, none of this would happen. The water cycle wouldn't happen. We wouldn't have precipitation. The earth would be so dry and nasty. So we have to have the sun. He's the whole reason. I say he. The sun isn't a boy or a girl, but the sun is the reason that the water cycle works. So real quick, I'm just going to draw you a little picture so that you can remember what the water cycle looks like. So remember, we've got oceans and lakes. So I'm going to draw my ocean and my lake. I can't draw. And so that is when, that is accumulation. Accumulation. And those are like lakes, oceans, rivers. So this accumulation, and just think of the word accumulate. I hope that you've heard that word before. But this, with the sun beating down on us so hard, it causes this water to evaporate. And that is when it turns into a gas. So it goes from a liquid to a gas. Okay. Then we are going to get up here and it's going to go. Ooh, I want to make that blue because this is the sky. Come on, Miss Simpson. Then it goes into these wonderfully beautiful clouds. And that is condensation. And that is when when it gets into the clouds and it goes from a gas back to a liquid, and it forms water droplets. So I want you to think of this cloud being full of little tiny water droplets. And when it gets way too heavy, we're going to make this a sad cloud. When it gets way too heavy, it falls back down to the earth. And that's purple. It falls back down to the earth as precipitation, right? This is rain. Now, this precipitation, if it falls onto a hill, it could slide down that hill back into the ocean, and that is called runoff. This is called precipitation. And then some of this water might get stored in this hill and get underneath the ground, and that would be called groundwater. So it's just a big old circle of things that accumulates, evaporates, condensates, precipitates, accumulates, evaporates, condensates, precipitates, accumulates, evaporates, condensates, precipitate. So that happens over and over and over and over again. Okay, so for your assignment, I want everybody to get out a piece of paper, and we are going to make a Freyer model. And this is what we did last week, but y'all had some trouble understanding what I was talking about. So I'm going to try and help you out. In the middle of your piece of paper, I want you to draw a circle and then some lines around it. Okay. In the middle, I want you to pick any of these 4 words, either accumulate, evaporate, condensation, precipitation. You can choose runoff, you can choose groundwater, whatever you want, but it needs to be one of these. So choose one of the words and write it in the middle. So I'm going to choose condensation. Condensation. Okay. So when you go to do your assignment today, I'm going to post the anchor chart, and the one that looks much prettier than this one, I'm going to post it right down below. And so you're going to look on that anchor chart and you're going to define. So in the top corner, I want you to write define. This is where you're going to write the definition that you find on that anchor chart. You don't even have to look it up. Look on that anchor chart, write it down. Okay. This you're going to write, and it's called characteristics. So what are some characteristics of condensation? What are some things that condensation or evaporation or accumulation, what might you see? What would it look like? So condensation, I would say it's like when some characteristics would be, I would say it's like wet, because I think of the outside of like the cup. But give me some characteristics of it. So you could give me, if you chose accumulation, give me some characteristics of oceans and lakes. Evaporation, you can tell me it goes from a liquid to a gas. Condensation, I would say it goes from a gas to a liquid. That is a characteristic. Precipitation, you can say rain, snow, sleet, hail. So give me some things, some examples of those, or some characteristics of those. If you did one of these two, it's going to be a little harder. So then right here, I want you to write examples. So these are where you're going to tell me, like an example of condensation would be the water on a soda can. Water on a soda can when it's a hot day. Precipitation would be rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Evaporation could be that boiling pot of water. And accumulation is right here, lakes, oceans, rivers. And then over here, I want you to write non-examples. And these are not examples. So obviously, condensation is not rain. Condensation is not sleet, because that's all precipitation. Condensation is not when it goes from a liquid to a gas. Tell me all the things condensation is not. When you finish this, and you can choose, again, any of these words, I want you to take a picture of it and turn it in. All right, my friends, I love y'all so much. I hope that you have a great day and a fantastic Tuesday after that long weekend, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.